You know who I say should be preaching for us to get reparations? Who should be backing us to get reparations? Louis Vuitton, Moet, Gucci. Because if we got reparations, they would get all our money.
At 32, I was 600 pounds and I had a heart attack. So I would love to tell people I was vegan my whole life or I ate healthy my whole life, but in reality, a health scare forced me into it.
Ain't nobody gonna save us.
No,
Ain't nobody gonna save us. We got the solutions we need. Every answer we need is inside of us.
Something I've learned about traveling around the world is only us in America treat each other like niggas.
This is Strategic Moves with Kenn Dowell.
There was a time when Cleveland and Black America had a real black media power. Newspapers like the Calling Post, magazines like Jet Magazine, Ebony, Essence, and even big cities had papers like the Chicago Defender, the Pittsburgh Courier, and these outlets are now just outlets that were around at that time, but at this point in time, they're no longer in existence due to a lot of circumstances, and that's one of the things that we're going to really talk about today on this platform. We're going to get down into why African-American media has changed, and we got a few people on our panel today who's going to talk about that, and we're going to also get into the power of why good eating is important as well. We're going to talk a little bit about justice and why it's important to be in the justice role, as well as we're going to talk about a little politics. My guest next to me is Mr. Bilal Akram. He's with the Code M magazine here in Cleveland, which is a magazine that he's going to talk to you about what they do as it relates to helping out African American and enlighten them and empowering them through media. And I also have a good friend of mine here. He's a chef. We all like to eat. He's none other than Terry Murphy. He has a restaurant of his own that he has. It's called Fresh Lyfe. And that's the name of his restaurant that he has. That's a good restaurant here in Cleveland. And he's going to talk about the power of food and how food is helping us to shape our lives here in Cleveland as it relates to black men and the black community as a whole. So I want to first tell everybody, if you haven't subscribed to our channel, we want you to do that real quick by hitting that subscribe button. And we want you to sit back and relax, because this is Strategic Moves with Kenn Dowell podcast. And we're going to talk a little bit about it all as it relates to African-American men, media, food, and justice. I want to get with Mr. Bilal Akram. Welcome to our program, sir.
Great. Thanks, Ken. Thanks for having me.
No problem. I want to talk to you. Give everybody a little background about what the magazine is all about and that kind of thing. Then we're going to jump right into the program.
Well, let me give you a little bit of background about me before I go into the Code M magazine aspect. Born and raised in Cleveland, come from a strong family. My grandfather started the first Cleveland mosque. So it's the oldest continuous African-American mosque community in the United States.
Wow.
So obviously I come from a lineage of leaders.
Okay.
My dad had a construction company when I was young, Allied Construction, and he was the first minority construction for Turner Construction. So once again, lineage of leadership.
What kind of construction work was it?
Oh, they did all kind of construction, commercial.
Okay.
And when they stepped out, Mr. Ozan, Leroy Ozan stepped in.
Oh,
So they were at that level.
Okay.
They did the project at East 9th and Cleveland, the old Cleveland Trust, where Heinens is now.
Yeah.
They did the concrete for the garage.
Okay.
And the complaints that came in against their company was the concrete was too smooth and you guys came in under budget.
Wow.
So
Gotta find something.
Yeah, right. But I grew up on the east side of Cleveland, went to
Okay.
John F. Kennedy High School, and then, years later, I joined the Cleveland Fire Department. So I was on the fire department for 33 years.
Okay.
On the streets for 25. So I saw a lot of, in our communities, I saw a lot that I didn't like, and a lot of it dealt with health and our food intake or lack of eating the proper foods.
Right.
So it left an impression on me that I always wanted to make sure I maintained my health.
Okay.
Eat properly, exercise, mental health, and all those things to make sure that I was fit.
That's correct.
But in my last 7 years on the job, I became, because of a failed drug test, I'm going to be very transparent, I failed a drug test. And the worst day of my life actually became the best day of my life. So the worst day of my life, fell in the drug test, I was suspended, but that got me back to getting into classrooms. I went through rehab, And then the gentleman who was in charge of EAP, the Employee Assistance Program, Reverend Elijah Spann, looked at me and said, Brother Bilal, this is not you. Watch how God uses this. So he invited me to a class, and it was a chaplain internship class held at the juvenile facilities on Green Road.
Okay.
So the first day I went, he was there. I mean, you're actually going behind bars. So you're in there with the inmates. They're walking down the halls. You're going to your classroom. Second day I went, he didn't show up. Third day I went, he didn't show up. But in hindsight, he was the instrument God used to get me to those classes.
Okay.
So the classes was for 2 years, 2 semesters per year. And I graduated with my associate chaplain certificate.
Okay.
I said, you know what? I didn't finish college. I might as well get in, enroll, and finish my bachelor's. So I enrolled in Cleveland State, 2 years. I finished my bachelor's. Okay. I said, you know what? I might as well continue on with my master's. 2 years later, I walked down the aisle with my master's degree. All that from failing a drug test.
Wow. Wow. So they took 1 step back to take 5 steps forward.
And I was getting into a doctoral program, but we got a phone call and we wound up taking our granddaughter in. And so we're raising our granddaughter. So it was, do I get my PhD or do I raise a 5-year-old? So the 5-year-old won.
So you never went back to doing firefighting?
No. I did go back. And ironically, when Elijah retired, well, I started taking EAP courses on my own because it intrigued me.
Right.
So I wound up getting a CEAP certificate, which is a certified EAP professional. I got a SAP certificate, which is a substance abuse professional. So I started getting all of those certificates as well as having my master's degree. When Elijah retired, I took his position.
Wow.
So what's the irony of me sitting on that side of the desk being counseled because I failed a drug test to sitting on this side of the desk counseling those who were once in my position?
So tell us more about this Code magazine.
And that's how Code M was born. My office was at Burke Lakefront Airport, so I had a staff position where I went to work dressed like this in civilian clothes. I had my own office, and I was on call 24 hours. Either people were referred to me through mandatory drug failing or drug or alcohol failed results or marital issues or, behavioral issues, whatever. People either were referred to me or they came to me on their own. But I couldn't seek people. I couldn't seek my coworkers out to say, hey man, y'all need to come see me. You got an issue. Nope. EAP is confidential, free, and is voluntary. And it's protected by federal law.
So was that the role as the chaplain?
No, it was Employee Assistance Program.
So this ain't had nothing to do with you being a chaplain?
No, not at all.
Did you ever use your chaplain?
I did not. But actually, the EAP became my ministry, and every day I walk, I'm a chaplain.
That's what made me associate it back to you being a chaplain. So they associated and made you a chaplain? Okay. No.
So actually, I was contemplating between getting an MDiv, master's in divinity, or getting a master's in psychology, and I chose the master's in psychology because everybody thought I was going into preaching.
Okay, hold on. So Terry, let's tell everybody a little bit about you, your business, what you're doing there, and that kind of stuff with Fresh Lyfe and all of that.
And again, Ken, thank you for having me. So Fresh Lyfe, we sell salads, wraps, smoothies, cold pressed juices, alkaline water, black seed oil. I started Fresh Lyfe out of necessity. At 32, I was 600 pounds and I had a heart attack.
Ooh.
So I would love to tell people I was vegan my whole life or I ate healthy my whole life, but in reality, a health scare forced me into it. While going through the journey of my weight loss, I live in Maple Heights, I realized there was no health food within my community. While trying to stay consistent, which is already hard to do, hey man, I gotta add an extra hour to my day. I'm a father of 3 kids. And I gotta go to work for 12 hours a day. I'm a chef. So you add an extra hour to my day, yes, I'm gonna stop at McDonald's, yes, I'm gonna stop at KFC. While having to realize that I have to leave my community every day to stay healthy, it became a obsession of mine. Because once I realized, when you die young like that, they send you to therapy. While you sitting in the hospitals, you know what you see all day? Us. Our mothers, our aunties, our sisters, our cousins, our brothers, every day sitting in the heart clinic, everybody got heart issues. 60% of people in our community suffer from the same 3 things: high blood pressure, diabetes, hypertension. We're all suffering. Hey, I know what it feels like to have metformin on your stomach every day. One day I went into the doctor. I tell the doctor, hey doctor, every morning I gotta throw up. And then I gotta go to work for 12 hours. I looked that man directly in the face and I said, hey man, this can't be a way to live, knowing that man took an oath. Hey, man, I'm telling you, I have to throw up every morning and then go to work. I need your help. He looked me dead in my face and said, Terry, your body's adjusting. Keep taking the medicine. All I could think, I was just so frustrated. When you hear the elder black man talk about the hospital's not for us, they don't help us. I immediately felt that all at once because you heard it your whole life, but you never understood how true it was.
That's correct.
He didn't listen to a word I had to say. What he was going to do was push them pills on me. No matter how it made me feel. At that point is when I wanted to do my own research. That's when I found Dr. Sebi and I started educating myself, and I started with the sea moss and the smoothies. After a year, I realized it was working. I walked past the mirror one day, I was like, well, where the other half of me at?
Okay.
Once I realized it was true, it then became I got to snitch. Hey, man, I got to tell my people. At that point, I found and started Fresh Lyfe.
Okay.
To be able to give my people access to these foods that I realized was saving them. Well, most of my people have never been to a Whole Foods. They've never seen it. Hey, man, if only I could explain to y'all what kale does for your body, what sea moss does for your body, what black seed do to your body. The fact that we realize half our people are out here suffering with no answer for it. They don't have access to health food. They don't have access to that spinach and that kale. When you go into kale, they price us out of kale. Everybody's buying the kale, and we're not eating it. We don't even know what it is. I can't tell you how many times people come into my restaurant and be like, hey, man, where the iceberg at? Understanding, the Honorable Marcus Garvey once told us if we have a problem, we need to solve it ourselves. Sitting and watching my community suffer. My wife had an aunt that passed away a couple years ago. She was up there in years, and every day my wife would have to cook dinner for us and then turn around and cook dinner for her aunt and go drop it off to the hood.
Wow.
It's in that do you see the necessity, the need. Why? Because they're all on diet restrictions.
That's correct.
They're all suffering. When we have solutions that God gave us, in the Bible say God provide.
Okay.
And y'all, he already gave us. The same way we absorb vitamin D from the sun like Superman is the same way we get our nutrients and our vitamins from the earth. We have to start looking at the natural foods in a way that they be able to feed us. I've traveled across the world all the way to Israel. I walked from Nazareth to Jerusalem, brother. I don't care what hotel you stay at. You know what you get for breakfast, lunch, or dinner? Fruit. And man, you know how they season their food? Vegetables. Oh, rest of the world eat like this. And when we turn and we look and we're the ones suffering, as our community suffering, as our people suffering, we have to be the ones that have solutions for these problems and stop looking to other places. So with me, I would like to prove a point to my people. See, I win by saying, hey, y'all, if we just solve these problems ourselves, we don't have to look for help. We don't have to ask for help. We don't have to search for funding. We can believe in each other, trust in each other. We know what our community need more than anybody else.
Hey, let's scoot on up to Bilal's first question for me.
My fault, y'all.
No, brother.
That's what we're here for.
That's brother.
That's what we're here for.
You was 600 pounds?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's huge, brother.
But as a firefighter, we came to your house. And people that in our community who looks like that. And like I say, it left an impression on me, which is why I curtailed my eating habits. And my wife really forced us to go organic and really start cooking instead of going to fast foods. And so anyway,
I think that's very important, man, because like you say, you had to figure out a way to change it yourself. I was in the same position. I was on, when I got to my doctor, I wasn't quite 600 pounds. I think the most I got, I think I was about 4 something. And I remember I went, it was almost 400 pounds. That's what it was. I had went to the doctor, and it was funny, man. I tell everybody this story, is that my doctor's office was right across from this McDonald's, right? And I used to, every time I go to my doctor's office, I used to treat myself to McDonald's either after I leave out of there. And in my mind already, I'm like, boy, I pull up like I'm going to this McDonald's as soon as I leave up out of here. And I went up in there, man, you know the regular routine. You go in, you say hi, you sign in. Next thing you know, they take you in, they weigh you in. And I got on the scale. That day I got on it, and I looked, I said, damn. But that's all I said.
Right.
And I kind of moved on. And unfortunately for me, then in your case, my doctor and his family, his father was my dentist. And you might know Gregory Hall.
Oh, yeah, Dr. Hall, Alpha brother.
Right,
Alpha
so
brother,
Greg Hall and his family his father was my dentist, and Greg was my doctor for years. So he knew me when I was a little younger, in teenage years growing up. So when I went in there and I sat down and he just came in, he was like, hey, man, you know, you a cheeseburger away from a heart attack. Wow. Exactly what he said. He said, you're going to have a massive heart attack. He said, I'm telling you, you're gonna leave all your family behind. Exactly what he said. He said, you need to do something today. about your weight. And that's
Wow.
when we worked on a plan of weight loss surgery and everything else it took in order to get it done. And from then, that's how I kind of kept myself down and keep it going. But I understand that. Now, to your point, I'm listening to you because I was there. Had the metformin. I was taking metformin, high blood pressure.
I was on 11 medication.
Yeah, they
on 11
they was
medication.
lined up, man, and taking all that medication, man.
Every
and
morning.
once
All
I lost
bad.
the weight, man, he said he took me off all the medications, you
Yep,
know,
me
and so
too.
I'm off all the medications. But, you know, and it was funny because now our hypertension, our blood always go up and down, and he trying to put me on some of that. And I'm like, man, I ain't getting on no more medication. You know, you trying to put me on. And he was like, listen, I'm going to tell you, he said, there is no award you get for not taking any medication.
I know
kid.
that's right.
He said, so, you know, I'm trying to not have you have a stroke. Now, last time we was trying not to have a heart attack. Now I'm trying to prevent you from having a stroke.
One thing at a time, brother. One thing at a
Now, it's
time.
funny, on the fire department, and I would say, do you realize what these medicines are doing in your body? Yes, I know one is supposed to treat one thing and one is another, but they're
side effects is
combining.
worse.
They're
Yep.
combining now. So it's like, what kind of toxicity is that creating in your body?
That's correct.
You know?
Yes,
so,
correct.
like I said, that's how I knew it affected me as we were doing first responders
Yeah.
to people in our communities. You know?
So let's get into the program a little bit here, fellas. Bilal, we're going to
Yes.
start off with you in this Code M magazine. It was a platform created about black men and what was missing from our community and things of that nature. So tell us about what happened and what got to you to make you feel like this was something you wanted to launch, this magazine, and the time when you decided, hey, this is the time for me to do that now. Similar, like I'm feeling, hey, I need to say something. What got to you in that point that made you feel like, hey, I want to do this magazine?
I'm gonna go back to the worst day of my life being
Okay.
the best day of my life. Fast forward, as I became the director of EAP, I counseled brothers like us
Okay.
under privacy. I had my own office away from headquarters, so I was able to talk to brothers, you know, for real. And I had so many black and brown, and Hispanic, Latino, black men in my office breaking down crying. And I mean, these are quote unquote heroes in our community. These are firefighters who are risking their lives to go in to save our loved ones, getting on roofs, putting holes in roofs, pulling the jaws and getting the jaws of life out, cutting people out of cars. And these brothers is broken. And I'm like, these are my brothers. You know, and I know how many times I needed to break down and cry. Because if you don't cry in life, then something is wrong with you. Life will take you, especially as black men, life will take you to your knees. And toward the end of my career, about 2016, I started looking at, you know, like, there's nothing out here talking to men of color. If you look at the mainstream media, we were either incredible athletes, they love us on the field or on the court. They'll come and watch us in the theaters, on the stage. They'll watch us in the movies. We're great entertainers, or we're criminals. They're quick to show our picture as it relates to a crime. As I said, that, you know, we fell in one of three buckets: entertainers, athletes, or criminals. And, you know, I knew in my world that I knew some brothers who were doing some incredible things. So Alex Boone is a mentor of mine, and I was driving her down to Marysville one day, and, you know, she was doing a speaking engagement. I have a transportation company as well, so I was driving her down, and I said, Alex, I'm thinking about starting this magazine for men of color. And she said, well, B, do it. I'll help you. And on that trip to Marysville was how Code M was birthed. I started the LLC in 2017, and we published our first issue in January of 2018. And the way that it worked out is content was changing over from print to digital around the mid-2010, 2015, 2016, and advertising. So we hit it the right time, because if I had to try to do this print, that would cost too much to try to get into that industry. It's such a high barrier to get in. So I was able to get into the digital age of it, and our first cover was Hill Harper. So we came out the box slinging, you know? I didn't have a clue on what I was doing. I had a gentleman named Richard Andrews, who was my editor.
Oh, I know Richard.
Yeah, Real Deal.
Yeah.
So Richard and I, you know, we had the idea, we came up with it. We were only publishing quarterly.
Okay.
And I'm trying to feel my way through. I invested substantial sums of my retirement money, and my wife is like, what are you doing? You know? So, but I believed, I bet on me. Fast forward, we are 8 years and 68 issues in, And we are one of the hottest digital magazine in the country for men of color. And we are in strategic meetings now to take the footprint over to 5 countries in Africa.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. And what's the major focus? We know it's black men and that, but
Right,
what are you
right.
really trying to
Well,
get out of it?
you talked about at the beginning of this podcast. Back in the day, there was Ebony, there was Jet,
Okay.
there was Ebony Man. Remember
That's correct.
Ebony Man?
That's
Then there was Esquire, GQ, which aren't really for us. They're more of a fashion magazine. GQ and Ebony, they don't really speak to us. But Ebony no longer exists. Well, it was purchased back by Junior Bridgman, and his daughter was running it. Brother Bridgman passed. Good alpha brother, but he passed. Jet is no longer printed and Essence is a shell of itself.
Okay.
I think Essence is owned by it was owned by a white company, and then it was bought by a brother. I think he's from Liberia.
Okay.
But, one thing I realized is that women came together. If women had a problem, they'll get a bottle of wine on Fridays. With black men, we tend to isolate. You say, I say, Ken, you good? Yeah, man, I'm good. I'm
Right,
good.
right.
Knowing all along you jacked up. So you probably go to the bar, go out, smoke a joint, do whatever you do, sex, pornography, to try to anesthetize what's going on inside of here, but you're not really dealing with the problem. So I said, well, let's create a magazine that addresses the emotional, financial, physical, psychological, and spiritual wellness of men of color. So it's the holistic man that we talk about. We are a debt-free company, so we don't have to ask for permission. And every topic that we talk about are solution-oriented.
Okay.
And the issues that deal with that affect men in Cleveland affect men in Detroit, affect men in Philadelphia, Los Angeles, Atlanta, because we're dealing with the same environmental, societal, judicial issues.
That's correct.
So it's being resonated and received all over the country.
Terry, how you feel that media and the way media is portrayed, and especially black media, when it comes down to food in your industry? And when I say that, when we talk about advertising, we talk about the fact of there are food deserts in our community, and the ability to maybe be able to market to smaller organizations like yours that's starting out, and others that are growing to try to do more in the community, so people know, hey, Fresh Life is in Maple Heights where you can be able to get your food. The lack of not having that black media, how it affects your business?
Malcolm X used to say, the media confuse people. It'll have you thinking the good people, the bad people, and the bad people, the good people.
That's correct.
As we look at the Wendy's commercial, girl, you know it had Popeyes. You know it. They market directly to food that kills us. This is where I scream that we as a community have to solve our problem. This is where I give a large shout out to Larice Purnell for putting on the Taste of Black Cleveland. Every year that brother makes sure I'm there. I can help you live longer, brother. I can get you off them pills. Once we realize the soul food supposed to be the food God gave us. Back to the Bible, it say God provide. If God came to you, king, and asked you for something to eat, you wouldn't give him no burger. You ain't about to give him no ribs. You ain't about to give him no fried pork chops. You probably gonna give him what he gave us to sustain us. Listen, food don't have to be delicious for it to be nutritious, for it to be good for us. As we look and we change how our view of food is. When I was 600 pounds, I wasn't on 600-pound life eating a place of food and no, sir, I was eating the same food my mother cooked, my grandmother cooked, my auntie cooked. Now I have my 2 fried pork chops, my gravies, my mashed potatoes and green beans like everybody else. What it took for me to understand over my travels over the world is the reason the rest of the world eat like that. That's something that's taught to us. We understand where our diet comes from. We were used to eating the throwaway of the slave master. And we made it delicious, black people, we can't help it. But in reality, our soul food was killing us. And man, Big Mama wasn't the only one to lose her foot though.
That's correct.
Right.
We're all suffering. It's everyday trouble. When we look at food, we go and it's a nostalgia. It's the food my mama cooked and we love that. Now, there's nothing wrong with eating that in disparity. But again, when it's our everyday diet, listen, if you went to Burger King, Popeyes, you cook chicken, rice, and gravy, and you cook meatloaf, and you still got zero nutritional value. You got nothing, you ate nothing that entire week that gave your body any nutrients, any vitamins. When we realize a lot of our health problems comes off the food we eat. Now, in our communities, if all we get is Save-A-Lots and all we get is Family Dollars and all we get is Dollar Generals, and all that food, and listen, we don't tell Tiffany that's giving little JJ high blood pressure. No, I ate noodles every day, man. I didn't realize that was giving me high blood pressure and it was killing me. It was something cheap that my mama could afford that we could be able to eat. When you realize that Nabisco own half them companies, Kraft own half them companies, so you're putting us in positions where we have to eat cheap, then we have to get the disease, then the same companies that own Kraft and Nabisco own the pharmaceutical companies.
So let's stay on the media topic.
And let me say something.
And that's where I want to go ahead.
This is the reason why Codem exists.
Okay.
Because Terry's story need to be told.
That's what I'm about to get to. People in our community need to know more because, and one of my questions I was going to follow with you about is staying independent and how important it is. Because Nabisco, McDonald's, Popeyes, and all of them have the media. And I think the biggest problem we have is a lack of community, a lack of information that is being given to our community through our media. Again, we're sitting up here today talking about media and how it affects us in our everyday life, from justice to food to politics. And one of the things when we get in that and we talk about that, we look at right now, we're talking about Code Magazine.
Codem.
Codem, excuse me.
That's okay.
I always thought the M in Code Magazine was for magazine.
People say, what does the M mean? It's subjective. It could mean men, it could be movement, millennial, it could mean millions.
It's a purpose for the M, because he keeps telling me it's Code M, because I thought it was short for magazine, but Code M. And right now the Calling Post newspaper is out there a little bit, and you can still get something into the Calling Post. You have to write your own ad and get it in there and all that yourself, but you can still get something out of the Calling Post. But the viewership of the Calling Post is so small now.
Yes.
Because there's people, my father-in-law lives with us, he turned 88 this year.
Okay.
And he asked me to go find him a Calling Post. But after that, man, I done lived around. There's been very few people I know who will say, hey, go get me a Calling Post newspaper. I know political folks want to advertise in it because they feel like this is just a nostalgia piece of our community. But the reason why we having all of that is the lack of communication, and that communication coming out in a sound way that it helps people. Code Magazine, Code M Magazine, and other tools we have in our community has to, we have to be the ones who step up to try to be able to help that and tell that story.
Right.
So I wanted to ask you, Bilal, independent, how hard is it being an independent and trying to fill that void? Because what we talk about is huge. And even what I'm undertaking, trying to do, is huge because the need is so big. To solve all of that stuff he needs, how can our community and what you see as the owner of your magazine, the problems or the challenges you're having in trying to help meet his need, or to be able, there's so much to talk about and so much. How do you balance all that?
As an entrepreneur, you know the struggles. But my focus is staying true to the mission and to the vision. If God gives you the mission, He's the vision, He will give you the provision. And I mean, literally, at every fork in the road that we have had, and I said, Lord, I don't know what to do. There's been a ram in the bush. A check will come in the mail. I'll get a phone call or something encouraging to keep me focused and say, you know what? I got to go another day. My dad used to always say, son, left foot, right foot.
Yes.
Just keep going. Left foot, right foot. And the old African proverb, how do you eat an elephant?
One bite at a time.
One bite at a time. So we take it one day at a time. And, people see the magazine, they see the end result. They don't see the back end. Like I used to model back in the day, and the picture is smooth in the front, but behind me, man, there was bobby pins and clothespins and tape and needle. I mean, it's like, so I say we're doing Codem Magazine with duct tape, popsicle sticks, and Elmer's glue, But we're going to keep moving forward because we're going to figure this out. We are going to become a profitable company. But the main thing is to stay true to our mission, which is to make sure that we provide credible information that our community can trust.
So with everything that's going on, we talk about the Calling Post newspaper in essence and Jet magazines and those things. It was a time where journalists and journalism was important to be able to get that message out. Are you finding it harder now to find people who are into that, who are willing to step up and write for that, or you think there's a need for more of that?
Everybody thinks they can write. So
Right. That's correct. That's
so
correct.
but we give people an opportunity. But the main thing is it has to meet our standards. We published at an 11th grade level. My managing editor is a gay white guy out of Reno, David Crystal. And he is he is a perfectionist. He dots the I's and crosses the T's. At one point, he was asked to be a speechwriter for President Bill Clinton. So we're blessed to have him. My editor and president, Brad Bowling, background is his master's degree is in digital marketing and communications and journalism. So, we definitely make sure that we maintain the journalistic integrity, that to set us apart. But secondly, we want to be a platform to give young people an opportunity to be published. So we are getting younger writers. We have a young lady now named Madison Maynard, and she's a student at Howard in their communications and journalism department. So we're publishing her now, and she'll hopefully bring on 1 or 2 more students. So we get asked all the time, people to submit articles, and we'll give people an opportunity because we had to start from somewhere.
Right.
So but the main thing is it has to be fact checked. And it has to make sure it represents who we are.
Who are out there talking. With that being out there, how you match yourself up with trying to get good media out to people? How you make yourself a trusted voice in our community?
By being consistent and telling the truth.
Okay.
So and we are different times now. Like you say, everyone is their own media company.
That's correct.
And people's lack of attention span is lessening. So now everything is 30-second sound
That's
bites.
correct.
People are looking at those and they think they're getting fed. They think that it's the truth. That because it's on the internet, because someone says it. No, that's not the way. That's not credible journalism. And we are in political times now where everything is so adversarial.
That's correct.
And black media is thoroughly under attack. So I make it a rule, especially with this new administration, I've made it a point to our staff is we skirt politics. We're not a left newspaper magazine or a right magazine. We give the facts.
Isn't there something to be said that black media can't be scared? Isn't it something to say that if you're gonna be out there, you got to be out there because the truth is ugly, and it's not easy.
But the rules are different now.
Right.
There was a young lady that was shot by the ICE agent. From a journalism standpoint, that we have to think about.
We look at it,
Yes.
and from my journalism standpoint, I'm gonna say what I saw yesterday is something that we've been seeing for years. It was the same thing with Michael Brown. It was the same thing with Tamir Rice. We can go on and on.
Back to 1600.
Back to 1600. Or just what happened to the young brother in Akron.
Yes.
He was running, he got shot in his back. So when we see police actually doing what police do, that wasn't shocking to me. What was shocking to me was that it was ICE who did it. And what was really shocking to me was that I'm surprised that it hadn't happened already. And here's why I believe that. I believe they didn't want to do it because they didn't want this narrative to happen what happened yesterday, because if that had happened, it really would have been like, oh, they killing them and they getting them out of here. But yesterday when that woman did what she did, they really didn't want that to happen.
At the end of the day, we have to learn as a culture to call a spade a spade.
There you go.
We have watched this happen over the decades. The
That's
only
correct.
reason why it was a story
That's correct.
was because it was a white woman.
That's correct. And it was ICE. And here's the ICE piece to it.
Yes.
And here's why I say the ICE piece to it. Because now we're at a position where a new set of authority was put out into the community that hasn't been challenged yet.
Right.
Now it's been challenged, and once it's been challenged, what it turned out to be was that they went with the narrative that they always do.
Right.
They kept the same narrative. They was like, you can't touch authority.
Right.
You can't do it police. So now it's the same police type of way of them saying we're going to deal with it. Now, I'm not saying that the woman should not have gotten that. I'm not saying any of that. But there's an air of white privilege.
Yeah, there you go.
It's an era of white privilege because you, me, and you, if that would have been us,
It would not have been a story.
it would have This one it wouldn't have been a story because if we would have saw 12 cars pulling up on us, getting out the car, walking up to us, pulling on our door, telling us, we would have only reason we would have left is because we had a key of cocaine in our car. Or we would have been like, officer, what do you want?
Oh, we was dirty.
Because we already taught when the police come to, we train how to deal with the police.
Right.
They're not. They feel like I can say, you know, I'm driving off. We would have never drove off.
Right.
Yes,
We would have never drove off. We would have never. That guy, when that police came and pulled on the door,
But
that would have been a whole nother different thing, in my opinion.
But that wouldn't have guaranteed that our life wouldn't have been taken.
Oh, we still probably would have been
That wouldn't have been a story. It would have been national news.
It would have been national, and it would have been right there.
So I got a question from a media perspective. We isolate those incidents. You mentioned Michael Brown. We talk about Philando Castile. We talk about George Floyd.
Right.
But we're killing each other every day in the streets.
Yeah, that happens. That happens.
Because you're going to get me on that.
Yeah.
Because black on black crime is the myth.
No, I didn't say black on black crime. I didn't say that. I didn't use that term. I'm saying my brother was murdered by some young black brothers.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is it's affecting our community where we're not policing each other. That's what I'm going to say.
Get to the point where we have to understand that in our communities we have different challenges than they do.
Absolutely.
That's correct.
Sometimes
That's
it's
correct.
just a
By design.
It's just a victim.
By design.
By design.
Yes, it's all by design.
So when we call it that and we have those conversations, listen, I tell everybody we need each other. Okay, because at the end of the day, we need to be able to sit in rooms, barber shops where we get together and call a spade a spade. Look at how many Latinos, Mexicans, Puerto Ricans, black people who have all been traumatized by this ICE system. Yet it's a story now because of that. Something we all have to swallow as a pill and understand. But I want us all to be able to take the time, because everything is a teacher moment, to be able to say, this is where this is wrong at. Now that it affects y'all, let us understand what we've been going through. Same thing we watched with the Charlie Kirk assassination. Listen, that happened to my black leaders my whole life.
Sure has.
Hey, son, they did that to Malcolm X. Hey, son, they did that to Martin Luther King. Hey, son, they did that to Fred Hampton. Hey, okay, at what point are we now going to see this is the game we're playing? And I want us to have conversations about solutions to fixing the games we're playing.
And if it isn't a time for us to come more together, it's now.
It's now.
Because when I looked at that, I saw a couple of things that was different that stuck out to me. I looked at how many doggone angles they had when that junk jumped off. I was like, Jesus Christ. Everybody either had a cell phone, I even had a drone. I was like, man, you had drones up there, and you had doorbell rings. So it was like, we're in a time now, I say that we're in a time now that's different. Because we done seen the federal government on the streets, because you saw the Huff riots.
Right.
You done seen stuff. You saw what happened at Kent, out at Kent State. So we understand and we done seen. So I saw them, and I was talking to his friends like, man, everything go full circle. Look at this. We right back to where we were when this thing started out again, because we done seen that. The difference is they never murdered nobody. This time they did. Now again, if I looked at the narrative and they kept with the narrative. Hey, she should never put her hands on police. And that's why it happened, and that's their narrative. And it was like, hey, so they gonna treat her. Well, I said, Congress remind me of a black man in America. That's who they remind me of. They being treated just like we being treated. We go to the court system thinking, okay, this can't happen. We got rights. Oh, Congress, you found out y'all ain't got no rights. Y'all thought y'all could tell this man not to do that, but you know what? He did it anyway, and he's still doing it. You guys thought y'all had the media on your side. You found out the media ain't on your side neither. We ain't got that. So when I say that, I think that's where we at as a country, man. And if we, as people, don't take this opportunity to say, you know what, I saw what happened. I'm not saying that, we all need to be laying it together and all that, but we sure need to maybe come to the next meeting and kind of talk about it. It's a call to action for us to really come together. Go ahead, Bilal.
I think that we're at the third Reconstruction, at the precipice of the third Reconstruction.
Okay.
If you go back 1860s, that's when the Civil War was fought.
That's correct.
After that is when we were able to vote. Black men. There was the highest participation of black men voting after the Civil War.
That's correct.
80%.
Yes, sir.
We've been nowhere near 80% since then. Then Lincoln was assassinated. Then there was the Compromise of 1878, where the compromise was, in order for him to become president, in order for them to get a Democratic president, they had to pull the troops from the South. When the troops from the South left, that's when the terrorizing Jim Crow was born. The Ku Klux Klan was born. So we had to deal with all of those terrorist acts at that point in time. Fast forward to the 40s, 50s, that's when civil rights start rearing up again. And in the 60s, in Mississippi, Schwerner, Cheney, and the other white boy was killed in Mississippi. But they had to kill the white boys who were from New York in order for it to gain the attention of the country. So with this white woman being killed now by ICE, President Trump is the modern day Andrew Johnson. We've had a lot of gains over the last 30, 40, 50, 60 years as a people, as a culture, as a community. But and now we're a threat again. So now they pull DE&I. They're eroding our voting, our civil rights. They're eroding the Voting Rights Act. So we're going back. Economically, we're no better off as a community than we were in 1960. No better off. But we control more money. We control more money. We're just not impactful or intentional on where we spend the money. Imagine if black people say, you know what, we're going to support other black media. We wouldn't have to worry about financing.
Yes, sir.
We wouldn't have to worry. We support Terry's Restaurant. What if every black family in Cleveland or in Maple Heights ate at your restaurant once a week?
Yes, sir.
You know how much economic clout that would give his restaurant? Which then he can hire more people.
Yes, sir.
Which then he can broaden his menu.
Yes, sir.
Which then he can serve more people.
Yes, sir.
And which then he can hire more people. It's the old Jewish philosophy.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Their dollar turns 8 to 10 times before it leaves
their community. I preach the same thing.
You know who I say should be preaching for us to get reparations? Who should be backing us to get reparations? Louis Vuitton, Moet, Gucci. Because if we got reparations, they would get all our money.
Here's a big frost on that. Because people say that we have all this spending power. When you break it down and you look at where we fall at on the amount of people there is in this country, we are a very small group. It seems like there's a lot of us, but we're a really small group.
That's what the census says.
Well, the census is what we're going off of, right? The census says we're a small group of people. We're not the majority.
13%,
We're not the majority of the people in this
at all.
country by no stretch,
Right.
which means that we only have a small group of people. Out of that small group of people, when you talk about education, economics, and everything, you break that even down and half even more. Majority of the black community are uneducated, and the majority of the black community is under poverty. They're not making 50, 60, 70. The average income in the city of Cleveland is like $26,000 a year for the average black person who's living in the city of Cleveland. So when we talk about that, we have a small group of basketball players, football players, and folks like that who are making well, who can go buy the Louis Vuitton and everything else. You have another group of people. What you see from the black community is a lot of them spending their money on knockoffs and bull crap. It ain't real. Yeah, it say Louis Vuitton, and you thinking I'm wearing Louis Vuitton, but they're going to the Chinese spots or the Asian spots or wherever. We did the same way when we were growing up. We wasn't spending that.
Who is that benefit?
No, I get it, but what I'm saying is I don't think it'll go to Louis Vuitton and them.
Because we can't afford the real ones.
No, we can't afford
But we could afford the real ones. We would be out at Saks at Nordstrom's.
I think if we could afford the real one, I think we'll buy a real house. Because you got to think about how they're living beforehand, right?
Because again, I got to give a lot of pushback because Ken, I grew up poor.
Right.
I started my first catering company. I called it Obtainable Elegance because my people like nice things, but we necessarily can't always afford it.
That's correct.
The thing about us as a people is I lived in the projects, and you're going to see some Lamborghinis in the projects. You're going to see some Cadillacs. You're going to see some Porsches. You're going to see some, because I think a lot of the times it all boils down to financial literacy.
Those are all hustlers.
When we take the time, not all of them, because I knew a lot of school bus drivers. I knew a lot of...
But hold on, just hear me out. If you're a school bus driver and you decide to live in the projects where that you only want to pay $11 a month to live, then yes, I'm not paying a mortgage. I can buy a better car.
All down Kinsman, all down Miles, all down 131st. You're going to see a lot of nice cars. You're going to see, no, them brothers actually did take the time to buy that Louis Vuitton, Ken. They actually did it, man. He spent that $4,500 on that shirt.
Thank you.
Yeah, he did. He saved
because we can't. There's a lot of things that we can't
choose to spend.
Well, we
money
spend
on.
to choose our money, but you gotta have the money to choose it, to spend it. If you don't have it, and in our community you only getting it a certain few ways, and it's only a few people who getting it. That's why we are, as a group, we're poor. If it wasn't, we all would be doing a little bit better, but we're not.
Malcolm X said it again. We are not outnumbered. We are out-organized.
I agree.
I think
100%. 100%.
We move. We pay attention to. No, that family is really spending $300 a pair of shoes for 5 kids for everybody to have Jordans. They're really spending $1,500, $1,600
just for their kids.
Just for the
but where they getting the money
might
from?
wear a year.
But where are they getting the money from?
See, again, when we realize us as a people, we're very creative, Ken.
That's what I'm saying.
Now, regardless of which, it doesn't change the spending power. It doesn't change what we choose. Us as black men, sometimes we have to take power in the things we might deem ignorant. Hey, man, whatever we do, the world do. No, we got Japanese guys rapping and wearing polos and wearing Louis Vuitton because we do.
That's correct.
Now, I think we need to focus our energy more on towards our own brands, our own ownership, and our own. And I think we'll be more of an economic power.
That's correct.
But again, I think to easily wipe away to say, yeah, he hustling, but he also got 40,000 in his pocket.
Right. No, I ain't got nothing against the hustler. But I said everybody's not a hustler is my point. That's the deal. And everybody ain't good hustlers, just the point.
Because, again, it depends on your definition of hustler.
Right.
No, because that man that worked for RTA for 30 years, he got a pretty penny sitting in the bank, and he'll spend it, and his woman will spend it.
Right.
His kids will spend it. So, no, he'll live on miles, but he'll have his house paid for, his car paid for, so he has extra income. That we as a people, we have money, teach classes for the Tri-C Entrepreneurship Center. And in that, I noticed a lot of brothers, and also for the Cleveland Public Library about entrepreneurship. When we had these conversations, a lot of the older brothers come to me after the conversation and say, Terry, man, we just weren't thinking like that. We weren't taught to be entrepreneurs. We weren't listen, we was the work hard, go to work kind of guy. Nobody taught us about entrepreneurship. Nobody taught us about building your own. They put us in a box, and we just worked our 30 years, and that was it.
Right.
When you realize that that at the end of the day, it's about what we choose to spend our money on, what we choose to entertain, what we choose to give to each other. That's back to where the conversation about the media, the food, because it's on purpose. So when we don't talk to each other like this, we don't have these conversations, we don't change the outlook we have on our own communities.
Right.
When we don't realize there's so much money and so much, hey, how about everybody, instead of going to tax money and buying them rims for the 87 Delta, hey man, let's go ahead and invest that.
Let's 5 of us put the money and buy a house. Let's buy a house.
No, let's go buy a plaza. Let's go buy Lee and Harvard Plaza. Let's go buy Gold and Gate.
There you go.
And again, being able to talk, something I've learned about traveling around the world is only us in America treat each other like niggas.
Yes.
Everybody else, we listen to each other with a certain amount of dignity, a certain amount of respect. I miss those days.
Yes.
Because we so busy looking down on each other that we don't understand that brother got gifts. That brother got talent. That brother got something he believe in. Let's back that.
Right.
And again, moving, what you said was beautiful earlier, was moving with intention. They say, hey man, the Jewish community, they will spend 3 years supporting any business to make sure that business make it and get out of debt. We need to take the same approach. We need to look at it and hammer it home. Right. Because at the end of the day, no, we don't need nothing outside of our communities but each other, because the spending is outrageous. When you go to these cities and you take them out, if you look at Maple Heights, Bedford Heights, Warrensville Heights, hey man, that's the largest collection of black voters in the state.
Sure is. It is.
In the state.
Yes.
Hey man, you mean we got that amount of voting power, that amount of spending power. Hey man, but the average medium in those suburbs is 40,000. Hey man, if we all take and we work as a community, we use it as a community, we look at each other, we slow each other down. And even then, I'll talk about things as if they're not here, it's not options. Listen, the National Urban League is here. Hey, we have New Era Cleveland here. Hey, man, we have a lot of programs and a lot of brothers, as you said, are doing great work in the community.
Yes.
The problem is we need a spotlight and we need the media to be able to take the time. I was on New Day Cleveland and I had so big of a return on that. Only because so many of my people had no idea I was there.
Right.
When we take the time and we realize the importance of the media.
Yes.
And how important it is for us to be able to talk to each other, to be able to have ownership of the company, to be able to control the voice, because I need to be able to call a spade a spade.
Exactly.
If we see the problems within our communities and we take the time to solve them with each other. Hey man, that brother over there starting a daycare, man, to be able to, hey man, that brother got a nonprofit. Going to each school, my brother got a nonprofit called Breadwinners Academy, where he goes into the school and he teaches entrepreneurship. To be able to give back to the kids, to be able to get, when we take the time in our communities to solve the problem of financial literacy, understand the importance of generational wealth, and
Generational wealth.
understand how important our health is as a people. Because I tell every time
Health is wealth. Health is wealth.
Because at the end of the day, I think it all starts with self-love.
It does.
When we understand
It does.
that we love each other, no, man, I need Ken to be Ken.
Right.
Hey, man, I need
Right.
you to be you.
Right.
Because ain't
Right.
nobody to tell y'all I'm out here doing the hard work.
Right.
Hey, man, when we take the time to be able to appreciate each other's gifts, we can back that. And when we back that, we can move in unison. When we take the time to stop treating things like it's just stories that are out there.
Right.
Hey, man, we have to fight that.
And you know,
So,
I want to piggyback on something Terry said. Terry, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes,
Terry said, having traveled abroad profoundly changed me.
Me too.
I had 2 apartments in China. I traveled abroad once a month for 2.5 years, and going to different countries and realizing we are the prize. This is the only country I'm disrespected in.
Only country.
Everywhere I went around the world, whether it was Germany, whether it was Japan, Guam, China.
To a point, it scared me because they were walking up to
It
me.
empowered me. But I hear you. But it empowered
even
me.
then, it had to be a transition because
Yes.
I grew up here.
Okay.
So I understand.
Yeah, me too.
So I understand that. Hey man, when I see a police officer, I gotta kind of. Hey man, when you realize they walk up to you, they was carrying AKs, and I was like, whoa man. So let me tell you a quick story. I was standing in the middle of Jerusalem. Jerusalem looks exactly like it do on Aladdin. It's a huge marketplace. Everybody's just hustling and selling stuff. It look like in Las Vegas and New York. It's going down. I'm standing in front of the shop with the shop owner. We're having a conversation. A Jewish guy starts to walk down the street. You know, one of them Cleveland Heights Jews we know not to say nothing to. They start throwing things at him. And then the shop owner start cussing at him. So I look at him and I say, hey man, don't start nothing, man. I'm black, man. I'm going to jail. I would never get
say
out.
they coming after you.
I'm going to jail, man. I ain't never getting out, man. Chill out. He looked at me frustrated that I was stopping him. And he looked at me with the craziest look in his face and he said, you go to jail for him? Do you know who he is? He's a land thief. He's a religion thief. He is not welcome here.
Wow.
And I thought to the process. And I tell people all the time, if you want to see white people treated like us, go ahead, go over to Israel.
Go over to Israel.
Oh, that's why you see why anti-Semitism is a thing.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, it's because other places they don't respect it. Listen, I went to Egypt. I walked from Nazareth to Jerusalem. Brother, you know what I see? They treat us differently because all their artwork on their walls, all their statue, that big statue looked like my boy from 55th. He looks just like him.
It's us.
If only we seen that representation in our communities.
Yes.
If only we understood that they look at us like we're gods, we're the original people. That's not, we hear it.
Right.
We hear the whispers.
Yes.
But we don't acknowledge it as truth, this allows us to treat each other like we're better.
Right.
No, King, you got a gift. No, King, you got a power. No, the way you look at math, brother, I know a brother that'll make you cry singing right now. Right. If that's not a superpower, I don't know what is.
Well, that's been the thing that's happening now in our country, you know, that we're really having issues with. Everything we're doing as a people to try to even get that information out, it ain't happening anymore.
But we're doing it one
That's
page
what
at a
we
time
need,
with
y'all.
Code M because all of our images are positive.
Well, I ain't talking about images. I'm talking about history.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
talking about
yeah,
which is the
yes,
thing
yeah,
we're talking
yeah.
about when we talk about education.
But back in
and
the day-
school, they
but back in
taking
the
all that
day-
shit away.
I'm not going to say education. I'm going to say when they took religion out the school, my brother, our kids are lost.
Yes.
Well, now, but here's where it's even worse. Because again, we are the foundation. We're the generation that know. So the generation that's coming up behind us and is in school now are not going to learn about the same stuff that we know about.
Yes, sir.
Because they're taking it all out of school. They're taking it all out of the government. There was a statue on Black Lives Matter Boulevard that they took down during that time that Donald Trump came back and just put it right back up.
Yes, sir.
You see what I mean? So all the stuff that everybody fought for to say that this isn't, to your point about why we're treated a certain way here versus there, is because that's all we get. When you're a poor person growing up in the city with nothing, and that's where you got, right?
We refuse to acknowledge we're at war.
That's correct.
And if we're not looking at each other, telling each other this is exactly where we're at, we're at war, they're doing direct attacks towards us.
That's correct.
So as we see that as they're taking down our Black Lives Matter, we have to be more intentional.
That's correct.
Absolutely.
No, brothers, I need you, brothers, even more
Yes.
because y'all are the only ones that's going to tell those stories and inform those people who don't know.
Well, the shooting of that woman yesterday, to me, kicked off the war. Okay,
no, killing Charlie Kirk.
No, not necessarily. No, the woman. And here's why. Here's why. Because yesterday when they did that to the woman, and they're going to follow the line that they're going to follow in doing that, now it's time to pick a side. okay? And that means black folks, we got to pick a side. Before we was saying, oh, that's not our fight, that's not our stuff, we're not involved in that. What just happened is about to become war. Because now what can happen in the wrong neighborhood where 20 guys can pull up like that, it might be 50 brothers standing around. They're not going to let that happen. Then what happens when they start shooting back at ICE? You see what I mean?
Yes,
and
sir.
now we're about to, yesterday,
But that's what they
initially
want.
can kick off our civil war that we're talking about.
That's what they
because
want.
it's exactly what they want. And,
right.
and I'm going to reference back to
That's
Charlie
correct.
Kirk. What I told a guy one day when we were having a conversation, what we watched was white privilege against white pride.
Right. That's it.
And again, as we watched them have that fight, the woman getting shot yesterday was the bleed onset of that. Because now they have to ask each other a real question. Does our racism our own deaths, our own blood?
That's what I'm saying. You gotta pick a side.
So
You gotta pick a
as we
side.
watch that white soccer mom take that, we need to gear up.
Let me address something you said. Both of you all said that our kids aren't learning.
Yes, sir. Critical race theory is gone.
But why don't we start a Saturday school?
Yes, sir.
Why don't we start a school where, okay, they go to this school Monday through Friday, but they come to our class on Saturdays
Same
9
as
to
Jewish
12.
people.
Why was HBCUs created? Because we couldn't go to the PWIs. And that's where we get most of our education from. So why can't we say, you know what? You all are co-opting our kids. It's a crime what you're doing to our young people. As a community, we have to step up.
Yes, sir.
You know, so
again, all our problems can be solved by us as black men.
that's it.
When we can,
we're our own cavalry.
When we can acknowledge our power,
Yes.
our strengths, our
Yes.
gifts, our talent,
Yes.
then we could be more intentional.
Right.
We're absolutely right. We're sending our kids to be educated by our enemies.
Exactly.
Hold on.
Right.
And again, when we look at our communities and we look, the problem is I do a lot of work with the schools. So I work with the CTE programs where they still do career technicals. Where again, you know, you can learn to be a firefighter. You can learn to be an electrician. You can learn to be a carpenter. You can learn to be a chef. You can learn to be an entrepreneur. You can learn to be a hairstylist. So as we work within these programs, it becomes vital because we have to understand that our young men are dying because they're scared.
They're scared.
Because they have a lack of leadership.
Yep.
Because no
Yep.
one is taking the time to teach them that we as a real men understand. I had my kid when I was 16 years old. I've always been a father my entire life. My son is half my age.
My son's 20 years my junior.
So I understand completely the fear it feels to be able to lead a family, to be able to. The problem is, all these moms actually buy these $350 Prada jeans and send that kid to school, and he go to school and think he earns it.
Right.
Until he turns 18 and everybody turns to look at him and tell him you're not a man unless you're providing.
Right.
And then when he crashes out or he looks for the fast, the easy way, as the music, the media manipulates him into being a criminal because they all believe they're NBA young boy.
Right.
Oh, because Tupac said in the 90s they peeped the weakness in the rap game and sold it.
Sure did.
When they realized during that time of Big and Pac, all the men will copy these men, they will stand for it and they will die for it, and they turned us all into thugs.
Sure did.
Let's go into this because I want to round this out because I don't want to keep us too much longer. Let's talk about family. Because we talk a whole lot about, we, the family and the community should do this and this and that. But the real problem with our community is the breakdown of the family.
The black
It's
family
the black
structure, yes,
family.
sir.
And not just the fact of saying that because the black man is not in the household, not just
But
that.
that's
not
a
saying,
myth. That's
but,
a myth.
But hold on, that's where I'm about to go. And not to say that women are running. No, I'm not going there because even if women are doing it, if that's the case, you're doing a terrible fucking job of getting that done.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
just going to put that out there. If that's where we at, then they're doing a terrible job because our men and our young black boys are the ones who are falling for it. So I don't want to say that's it. I'm saying we're going to take a collective piece of that and say it's all of our fault in that too. But it's still a breakdown of our family in that. And our family structure for a long time has been gone, where people are just not there. And it done even got a little more toxic now with the newer generation because, and I'll put this out here, is because of the fact of social media and the fact of certain things that used to be a little, you kept in the closet or you kept away a little bit, people now are just out there doing it. So they're saying, hey, I can do this better without a man. And not letting us to be able to get young brothers out there in the right mindset. I used to go off and say, a lot of these brothers just really soft in the way they come across. Then people say, oh man, you can't call them soft. Our generation, as we say, we had it a little bit rougher. We try to make it easier for our kids and everything, and in doing so, I believe we made that path a little too soft for them.
It's a saying that say hard times create soft men.
There it is, right.
And
Now, soft times create
Soft
soft
men.
men. Yes.
Yeah.
and that everything eventually goes full circle.
That's correct.
And I think sometimes with us as a community, no, you said it all right on the head. No, it's directly taking the father out the household.
That's correct.
When we understand how powerful we are, brothers, if we're not there for your family, your household, the world will take them. The Bible says
That's
a woman left to her own devices is chaos. When we look at these young men being raised by these single moms, yes, these young men have no guidance, no leadership, no backbone.
That's correct.
No idea of suffering.
That's correct.
Because they expect everything to be easy. Their mom will go ahead. Listen, that's why two-parent households are so important. I learned to raise my own kids. Because your mother is there to love you. Your father is there to put a foot in your ass.
That's correct.
Because both are needed.
And teach you.
Yes, sir.
And teach you. You're going to learn your biggest lessons from your father if you're willing to take those lessons.
Both daughter and son.
That's correct.
It's a reason why the number in the demographics is the same as a father-raised household or a mother and father-raised are the same numbers. But a single mother household produces the most felons. Because in reality, amen, God had it right, we need each other. We have to be able to call those narratives correct and be able to check each other's in the same way. Hey, no, the women, y'all need us like we need y'all.
That's correct. And it's hard for men
to be able
today
to accept that.
to be who you truly is when you constantly got people telling you they don't need you and you ain't shit.
They don't want you.
And brothers ain't getting that. To your point that you said early on in that, and this is a black man's problem, is that black men have a problem of doing exactly what we're doing today. Like you said, women come in, they have a bottle of wine, they sit down. Before they leave out, they done had the whole plan rolled up. They got a pack together. They done got a parade. They got who they gonna do, what they gonna do, and they move along with their agenda in spite of how they feel about each other. Most of the time, men don't even have a problem. We don't disagree with our fellow brothers as much as women disagree with each other. You go home, your wife will tell you, girlfriend, this, and then you be listening to that, and you be like, well, me and homeboy, we're about to go out. Now, if Terry acting funky one day, I'd be like, he owns some shit, I ain't bothering him. And we leave him alone for a little while, then we come back. But women, they go through a thing. But my point is that we have not been able to bring our stuff together, man. We got the Masons, we got the Qs, you got the Alphas, but it seemed like collectively, man, as a group, we're just not there.
You remember Joe Madison, the Black Eagle? He used to say, what are you going to do about it? And I'm not asking you rhetorically, I'm asking black men from our community, what are you going to do about it?
Right.
I used to go into one of this Bolton school, and because it was an ask by my pastor, Bolton was our sister school. I was at Olivet at the time. He said, we need some tutors over here. I'm like, all right, I got some time. So I went into Bolton School, K through 8, and I started going once a week. Kids running around, but I noticed they looked at me differently. The second week, I'm there. They're like, he's here again. The third week, oh, he come back. The 15th week, at that point, I got kids running to me. I did that for 2.5 years. It got to a point where when I walked into school, the teachers would come to me and say, Mr. B, we can't do nothing with these kids. They listen to you. I have boys to this day who still keep in touch with me. And they're telling me, you saved my life. I tried to get other brothers from the fire department. I said, look, let's create a mentoring program. Everybody pick a school. We're going to adopt a school. And we're going to go in and catch some of these young brothers.
And we're going to have a
because
conversation.
you don't realize just acknowledging them. This one kid, and he was the toughest kid in the school. So I'm like, okay, I got to get him on my side. So every time I went to the school, he's sitting outside in the hallway. So I asked him his name. I said, okay, I'm Mr. B. I said, you want to join? No, I don't want to join you. Okay, you're welcome anytime. Next week, I walk in, same position, same conversation. I said his name. He said, you remember my name? I said, yes. What's my name? He said, Mr. B. I said, okay, we're even. You want to? Nope, I don't want to join us. Third week, fourth week, the fifth week, same scenario, same conversation. I said, hey. He said, hey, Mr. B. I said, how you doing today? I said, why are you out here? Was the teacher's fault? I said, no, man. I said, I said, he got his degree. He got his education. That's what you're trying to get. He said, can I join your group? That young brother wound up going to Benedictine High School, starring, won the state championship, went on to college. I mean, it was just that one interaction.
Yes, sir.
3 minutes a day for about 5 weeks. but he saw my consistency. Another young brother, I invited him to church because he was sitting there and sucking up everything I said. He was a little soft little brother, you know. He didn't have a father, around a lot of women, but he gravitated towards me. He wound up coming to my church. He got saved. He brought his mother who got saved. He brought 3 of his sisters who got saved. To this day, he works at Amazon, is married, bought a house, and has 2 beautiful kids. And his mother, before she passed, says, "Thank you, Mr. B. You saved my son's life."
So it sounds like
I'm one person. What if we did that collectively?
Yes,
It
sir.
sounds like you saying we ain't stepping up. They need to step
There you
up.
go.
People need to
What are
step
we
up.
going to do?
1,000%.
So
What are we going to do? Because ain't nobody going to save us.
No, nobody's
Ain't nobody going to save us. We got the solutions we need. Every answer we need is inside of us, in our community.
It's already brothers out here working. It's
Yes.
already people doing. And again, I think that sometimes we have to look at each other, understand each other's gifts and talent, and empower each other. Again, I got into this world because I was a kid with a kid.
Right.
I ended up getting in trouble at school, and I had to get into a work-study program at Thistledown Racetrack.
Wow.
I started off as a dishwasher. Now, because I had a kid in my own apartment at 16, the chef happened to notice that I was picking up every extra hour. I was there working. I didn't care about washing dishes. I was just trying to make whatever little money I was making.
Right.
And one day he pulled me to the side and he said, "Come here." I thought I was in trouble at the time. Now, when I tell y'all, this is one of the meanest old men I ever met in his life. Listen, he was the type of old man, he would take us out drinking after work, pay for all the drinks, and then look me in the face and tell me, "You got to be at work at 4 o'clock in the morning. We got Mother's Day." And I used to be like, "Oh, man, why would you make me do that? You knew I was out here." And I'm like, "Hey, man." And I went and I slept in the parking lot. He knocked on the window the next morning. Was like, "Hi, I see you ain't go home." Now, I didn't understand at the time, but what he was doing was teaching me you can't stay out all night and drink and get up for work.
He was teaching work ethic.
It took me years to mature to understand that mean old man loved me more than any other man I ever met in my life.
That was tough love.
Now going through that, as he walked me behind the dish tank that day, he walked me into the room. We had a thing called the Players Club. That's when all the rich people in Thistledown was going to be bad and making their money. He walked into the room and all these rich white men stood up and clapped for him. Coming from 131st and Miles, that was the most respect I ever seen a black man get.
Wow.
And I thought, you got all that respect through cooking food? And he was like, "No, I feed my family and they respect that."
Wow.
It was in that I then learned the power of each other. No, what a positive influence can do for us in our communities.
Right.
Hey, man, no, they really did. The greatest trick the devil ever performed was turning our women against us. Once they started with that, "I don't need a man," and and then we were losing as a people. I stop every woman out here saying, I say, "Oh my God, you hurt my spirit, and I'm a good one," just to let them know what hearing that does.
Right.
Hey man, what bashing your baby daddy does. Hey man, because if you're bashing his father, what you think the son thinks?
Exactly.
Because I'm half him.
Right.
That's correct.
When we don't have these conversations to get them to understand, to get them to see, to get them the importance of being able to see that we made each other. My symbol on my jacket is an Ankh.
Okay.
Because what it means is for everlasting life.
Right.
But again, the top is the woman's ovaries, the bottom is the man penis, and the wings are the sun. We to understand that we need each other. Hey man, we could benefit and we blessing each other. During my bad times,
Hold on, man. I just got on with you walking around with some ovaries on your thing, and you what you got on yours?
Yes, sir. It's an Ankh. It's called an Ankh.
Okay.
It's an African symbol.
Yes,
Really?
it is.
Yeah,
Yep.
yes, sir. And
There's
again,
power.
I didn't know.
There's power
I
in
heard
symbols.
I never heard that was what was on the Ankh before.
power in symbols.
Yes, sir. And again, that's where the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, and all that
All right.
other comes from.
I got you.
But again, as you go back and do your history, hey man, that was 2,000 years before Christ.
Before Christ.
Wow.
It's on them African pyramids before that.
Before Christ.
Now again, that's back to it be us going back
But
to
that
the
was
original.
us. That was us.
The same as food and going back to the original and going back to God and going back to who we are in the basics. Once we have an understanding of that and who we are as a people, we can love each other better. The problems of our community suffer from a lack of self-love. When we don't love each other, we don't support each other, we're not there for each other, we don't believe in each other, it's hard to get things done. And that's kind of crazy because he got thousands of people. I say, see, that's the problem. We all think we have to do it individually when there are already brothers out here doing the great work.
Correct.
Go help him.
Right.
As they saying with the SNAP benefits, you now got to have a work. Go work for a small business.
Right.
Go work for a nonprofit. That's
Oh,
doing
I
something
tell them
you
all the
believe
time.
in.
You got almost me. It come work for me.
Listen, go ahead on and get them hours in that way and invest in and helping into our own communities. We can solve our own problem. Listen, man, After my hard times in my life, I tell people all the time, listen, I started getting blessings once I became a better husband.
That's right.
Once I became a better father. Once I became a better person for the community. You know what happened? God started blessing me.
Yes.
Okay.
And that
makes
wasn't
sense.
luck.
No,
and
no,
it
sir.
wasn't irony either.
No, sir. Because at the end
You
of the day,
created your own blessings.
because it all comes from within. When we take the time and we put these things to be important to us and our people, amen, yeah, but we'll laugh together and all laugh at Russell Wilson.
That's
But
correct.
that's a great black man.
That's a great
The
black
problem
man.
is y'all okay in future.
Right. Right.
And again, back to the music, the media, the TV.
media, yeah.
Oh, okay, so y'all are push the death music and the negative and the depression music, but we'll laugh at the good brothers doing the good things.
good
We'll
things.
overlook the good man in the community that's sacrificing. My favorite saying in the world is the man closest to the grill is king.
Right.
You know why? Because he was able to feed the community. He was able to do the hard work for the community.
Sure
He
was.
Okay.
So we'll start with you, Terry. So my question to you, Terry, I know we talked a whole lot about all of the things that needs to be, that we can do as black men and what should happen with black men. And we're going to continue this conversation. We're going to come back and may have more solutions and bring on other people to continue this conversation. But Terry, I want you to tell us from your perspective with Fresh Start, what are you going to continue to do or what you think you want to start doing to help us further this agenda to help African-American men?
I want to be able to take the time to have the conversations and have places and safe spaces where we can have conversations about healing ourselves emotionally, healing ourselves physically, and taking the time and things we could do to help with what ails us. Let's solve the problem so we feel better so we can be there for our families and our communities. I would love to be able to grow and expand Fresh Life to where I could touch as many communities as I can to be able to provide a service where our seniors and our elders are able to get access to health food that'll be able to help them stay here longer. During the time, I still work with the Heights Consortium, the Cleveland CTE, to be able to teach kids about entrepreneurship, being able to cook healthy, being able to provide for your families and the importance of that. I do my work with the Shaker Heights Library as well, to where I hold classes to be able to teach young people about being able to cook healthy and being able to be an entrepreneur and try to solve some of the financial literacy gaps that we have to be able to educate them. Because again, I feel as if as a black man, it's my job and my duty to be able to give them the tools that I need or problems they're going to face. So if I take the time to educate them financially, help them get a plan coming out of high school so they don't have to turn into the streets or turn into drugs or turn into the not being able to deal with the emotional intelligence it takes to be a man and lead your household and your home.
Excellent.
Being able to, I will hope to expand my programs with Red All Farms. They're a great black community organization that grows their own food and being able to feed the community and take the time to be able to grow and expand that. I'm Terry Murphy from Fresh Life, 17203 Broadway Ave, Maple Heights, Ohio, 44137. We sell salads, wraps, smoothies, cold pressed juices, alkaline water, black seed oil, typically a Dr. Sebi alkaline approved diet for us and our people. Come get a salad.
Excellent. Bilal,
Yes.
I got you, brother. I know you've been doing your thing for a while.
Yes.
You are a wealth of information and knowledge and stuff. And again, like I say, we're going to continue this conversation, fellas. We talked a long time today because we just got to rolling, but we're going to continue because it's a good conversation. We're going to get another topic and go from there. But I want you to tell everybody with Code M Magazine, what are your plans to do and how you think you want to continue to do what you're doing and what you think something we should do next?
Well, the first thing I'm going to do is support Terry's restaurant. I'm going to
Excellent.
become a customer of his. I'm going to support your platform.
Okay.
And I'm going to offer both of you all advertising in the magazine.
Thank you.
So that's about putting words to action to show y'all two brothers that I love you.
Excellent.
I ain't asking you for no money.
That's right.
Because I figure your ads in the magazine, you're going to share it with your people. That's how we grow.
That's it.
That's how we grow.
Group economics.
So back to Code M, and what I challenge your audience is, pick up a book. Let's start reading more. I'm reading this book right now. You would like this book. This book called The Barn. This is the barn that Emmett Till was killed in. And it talks about the history of the people that owned the land and how the land was inhabited. And it was inhabited with violence, with racism, and with deceit. And it's all the confluence of history of how all this happened. They took that little young brother and killed him, tortured him in that barn. This is an excellent book. This is another book I'm reading, The Black Home Ownership in Martha's Vineyard. This, if you've never been to Martha's Vineyard,
I heard the stories on that. Yeah.
you need to go.
I heard.
You need to go. It's somewhere, it's a black Wakanda for us. It's a destination. And I've never met so many brothers and sisters that the population swells from about 30,000 that lives on the island to over 200,000 people that come and visit in the first couple months in August. It's like a black Wakanda. I was on the beach one day. They had a HBCU celebration. It wasn't nothing but us on the beach, and it wasn't nothing but love. The music, dancing, laughing, but it was love. And I had a revelation. I said, oh, this is what we create when we come together. That's why they divide us. Because if I can't love me, I can't love you. So please, let's talk about that. You really need to come to Martha's Vineyard. It will take you to a whole nother level.
You said it's already on the mission. It's already on the mission, my brother.
And the last book I'm reading about 5 books, but this is the 3 I bought. The book of Jeremiah, about Jeremiah Wright.
Oh, yeah.
This is an excellent book. So I challenge your audience, I challenge you, brothers, pick up a book and read.
Yes, sir.
Because they told us back in the day, if you want to keep something from a black man, put it in writing.
Put it in writing. Go put it in.
Put it in the shelf. I'm like, but I read because it's knowledge.
Yes, sir.
And once you get knowledge, it can never be taken away.
That's right.
So my mission with Code M is to become the preeminent voice of black men, not just in Cleveland, not just in Ohio, not just in the United States, around the globe.
Hey, you guys been tuning in to Strategic Moves with Kenn Dowell podcast. I had 2 awesome guests here today. We had Bilal Akram from Code M magazine, who talked a lot about what it is to be in media and how to make media work for you and what we need to do as a community to do better at media. And we also had Terry Murphy here, who is here with Fresh Lyfe, and he is a wealth of knowledge. He had a little bit more than just cooking on his mind today, y'all. So I'm going to let y'all know about that. So we want to appreciate you guys for coming on our show. We're going to be airing this, and we want everybody to stay strong, stay with us, and keep moving, and continue to fight for what's right. We'll see you next week. Peace.
This is Strategic Moves with Kenn Dowell.